Hello students, my name is Wahidullah and I am chemistry lecturer here at Cordoba School and Colleges. Students, today we are going to start our second chapter of 10th class, and that is acid, bases and salts. Today's lecture will be on introduction to acid, bases and salt. Today's lecture content is to define what is acid, what is base and what is salt, what are the properties of acid, bases and salt, and also I will give you some common life example of both acid and bases as well as of that of salt. Now, what is acid? So remember students, when you enter into your kitchen, you would found vinegar, that is an acid. When you enter in your kitchen, you would found common salt, that is NaCl, which is actually you can say it's a chemical salt. And third, when you enter in your washroom, you would found soap, which is actually a base. So an acid can be defined as any substance that donates a proton is called an acid, and that is according to Bronsted and Lowry concept. An acid can also be defined as any substance that accepts a pair of valence electron. An acid can also be defined as any species that increases the concentration of H plus ion or proton in aqueous solution. Remember students, these are the three different definitions. The first one, definition of acid, is given by Bronsted and Lowry, while second one was proposed by Lewis, and the third one is Arrhenius acid. According to three of them, an acid is a substance that donates a proton or that accepts a pair of valence electron, or that produces hydrogen plus ion in aqueous solution, or you can say H plus ion in aqueous solution, or proton. Base can be defined according to Arrhenius, that base is any species that increases the concentration of OH ion in aqueous solution, or you can say that base is a substance that produces hydroxyl ion when react with water. Base can also be defined as substance that can accept a proton or donate a pair of valence electron to form a bond. Now it's time to explain what is salt. So salt can be defined as an ionic compound that contain cation and anion, and it is formed as a result of neutralization reaction. Ionic compound is that type of a compound which forms ion, or which is made up of ions, or those compounds that have ionic bond. Cation is actually a substance that have a positive charge, and anion is a substance that have negative charge. We can define salt in another way, and that is a compound formed as a result of neutralization reaction of an acid and a base. Remember students, the neutralization reaction is a type of reaction in which an acid react with a base and they form salt along with water. Here are some examples of acids. The first example of acid or the example of acid is HCl. You can see that HCl, and in brackets you can see AQ. AQ means aqua, which means that it is aqueous solution, the solution of water. So aqueous solution of HCl decomposes to H plus ion plus Cl ion. As we discussed that according to Arrhenius concept, any substance that gives H plus ion in aqueous solution, that is an acid. So by looking at the example, you people can see that here HCl decomposes to H plus ion, which means that HCl gives us H plus ion in aqueous solution. So HCl is actually an acid. Okay, example of a base is that NaOH. Remember students, according to Arrhenius concept, any substance that gives us OH ion in aqueous solution, so that is a base. Now here you can see that NaOH decomposes to Na plus ion along with OH minus ion. Here NaOH produces OH ion in aqueous solution, so here NaOH is a base. Now salt, as we defined that salt can be defined as a substance that is formed as a result of neutralization reaction of an acid with a base. Here, according to above examples, we know that HCl is an acid and NaOH is a base. So here, when HCl react with NaOH, so we will get NaCl along with water. Here, NaCl is a salt formed as a result of neutralization reaction of HCl and NaOH. as we discussed in the definition of salt, that NaCl is an ionic compound that contain a cation as well as an anion. So here sodium is a cation which will be having positive charge, while Cl is an anion which will be having negative charge. We also said that the negative part will be from an acid. So as here you can see that the chlorine part of NaCl comes from acid HCl, while the positive part of NaCl, that is Na, it comes from sodium hydroxide, which was a base. Now we are going to study some general properties of acids and bases. So remember students that acids produced a piercing if pan in a wound, while bases gives you a slippery feel. Okay, students, you might have noticed that when you touch the soap, so it gives you a slippery feel. So that is actually a base that gives you a slippery feel. Acid is having a sour taste, while bases will be having bitter taste. Okay, acids are those substances that turns the blue litmus paper into red. Actually, it is, you can say that blue litmus paper is a pH indicator. It tells you about the pH. When the pH is below the 7, so the color of that litmus paper will turn to red. While the pH is above the 7, so then the color of red litmus paper will be turned into blue. So here acids are red on blue litmus paper, while bases are blue on red litmus paper. Acids are those substances that have pH below 7, while bases are those substances that have pH above 7. Common example of acids and bases are lemon, oranges, vinegar, and urine. Remember students, the acidity or basicity of urine depends on the type of food you have taken. If you have taken acidic food in larger amount, so your urine will be acidic. But if you have taken food in having more quantity of bases, so then your urine will be having basic. Your urine will be actually basic. Common example of bases are soap, toothpaste, bleach, cleaning agent, and lime water. Now here are some common life example of acids. So here we have discussed only 4 examples. Here you can see grapes. So the grapes actually contain tartaric acid. Another example of acid is apples. Apples contain malic acid in larger quantity, while tartaric acid along with citric acid in lesser quantity. Third example of acid is lemon or oranges. Lemon and oranges contain citric acid, while another common life example is vinegar. Vinegar actually contains citric acid. Vinegar contain actually acetic acid. I'm sorry for these words, but vinegar actually contains acetic acid. That its formula is CH3COOH. Now it's time to explain or tell you about or give you some examples of bases. So the first common life example of base is actually limestone. So limestone, as we can see in a paint shop or in mountains, actually that limestone is basic. So it contains calcium carbonate. A second example is baking soda, which we use in confectioneries in our flour, etc. And it contains sodium bicarbonate. Our toothpaste also contain sodium bicarbonate. So these are actually basics. You can say basic salts or basic solution. Its pH is above the 7, so that's why we have put it in the category of bases. Last but not the least example of the bases is that is soap, which we used for cleaning as a cleaning agent or for bathing purposes, etc. Soap contains sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Okay, dear students, that was all about our today's lecture. Thank you for your time. Work hard. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.